Amps is a good place to start. We got 2.3 amps. We don't have anything that relates amps, so what can we do? I left this conversion off. 1 coulomb per second is 1 amp. Do we have any information in the problem about the coulombs or the seconds? We got 25 minutes, so we can convert 25 minutes into seconds. Make sure I do this right. What are our units at this point? We now have coulombs. Can we relate coulombs to anything? What was that? Okay, sorry. I heard grams for some reason. Okay, we want to get rid of coulombs. We know Faraday said 96,485 coulombs was 1 mole of electrons. Why do we put the 96,485 coulombs on the bottom? We want our coulomb unit to cancel. Can we convert the moles of electrons to anything? What are we trying to find out in this problem? Molarity of copper ion. In the course of this reaction, what happens to the copper ion? Becomes copper solid. How much copper solid was formed in the electrolysis? At this point, all I know is moles of electrons. How do I figure out the copper solid form? That would assume I knew the moles of copper. That's what I'm waiting for. How do you know? From our balanced equation, that's what I got to hear. You can't just tell me you see it. It doesn't quite work like that. We know 2 moles of electrons? 2 moles of electrons equals 1 mole. We could go through and do copper solid. Okay? But for the rest of the problem, do we care about the copper solid necessarily? No, we really care about the copper ion. Either way, it's going to give us the same mole amount, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. Okay. We could now go through and convert this into copper, grams of copper if we wanted to. Okay. But let's go back to what the problem's asking for. What did the problem want? It wanted a concentration. What are the units on concentration? Our concentration is moles per liter. Okay. The copper ion in our electrolysis, what happened to that copper ion? Was it added to the solution or removed from the solution? Removed from the solution. So what we need to do is figure out how much copper ion was in the solution to begin with, and we can then subtract this number away from it because that copper ion had to be removed. How do we figure out how much copper ion was present to begin with? Go back to our copper sulfate. So this is moles copper ion removed. With our copper sulfate, what can you tell me about the moles of copper sulfate? We have 0.1 moles in 1 liter. Are we given 1 liter? No, what are we given? 500 milliliters. I'm going to convert, sorry. I know that we started with, oh, this will be bad. I'm going to try it anyway. 0.05, right? Moles of copper ion. based on our electrolysis, we know how many moles of copper ion were removed from the solution. Anybody happen to calculate that yet? How do I figure out the concentration after electrolysis? Anybody have a number for that?
0.0178.
We remove 0.0178 moles. If we subtract those two numbers, what do we get? It would be the moles of copper still in the solution, because we haven't removed them yet. What's our total volume? 0.5. What do we now have? Our concentration at the end of that reaction. So you have to tie several different concepts to each other to be able to pull that one off. Okay? Questions about that one? Okay, so as far as questions go,